Hey gamers, today we're going to look at Urbania. Let's check it out. Alright, to set up for the game of Urbania, what you're going to do is you're going to put all your specialists right here, or wherever you want, just outside the board. You're going to have your victory counters here. This is a 50, so if you loop around the board once, you get the 50. If you loop around again, turn around, it's 100. You're going to put out your little project deck here. You're going to put out your regular deck cards here, deal out 5 here, a pool, and then of course deal out 5 to each player. Each player will have 5. Each player will also put their little start marker right here. Their little meeple guy will start here at the 0. You will also put out all these buildings. This is my only complaint here, is that it's really hard to tell what's been completed and what hasn't, but this little outlined area here, this little cross, these 5 buildings in there, you would start with those completely built. Okay, and whichever ones are built, you're going to move them up by their tracker number here. They're building. These little blocks represent the buildings that have been completed. So for instance, here I have 2 pinks. So I move my pink from 0, 1, 2 up to here. I completed a red, so red is at 1. I completed a yellow, so yellow's at 1. I completed a blue, but blue does not have cubes in the game. You can complete them for points in the game, and they're worth a lot of points at times, but they don't count in the round tracker, I guess because they're just residential areas here. So after that, you're going to put out your little specialist tokens, which are these discs matching the color of the specialist, and start them all off on the 1 tracker here. Now after you do that, then of course you're placing out all the uncompleted projects, and you can tell an uncompleted project, like I said, very ugly board here, but you can tell it by the numbers here and the helmet icons and everything on it, but it is very hard to tell. I understand that. Now each player will get this little player aid, which is really awesome, has a little scorekeeping thing on the back here, but the player aid will let you know what to do. Now here's how the game goes. You can do 2 actions. You can take any one of these actions. You can take them multiple times if you want to. So for instance, let's say I have 5 cards and I want to take the draw action. Draw action lets me take 2 cards from either the project pile or the resource pile or the draft pile. So I could take a card from here, and when I do, I would replace it with another card, or I could take a card on the top of the deck if I wanted to. Or I could take one of these project cards, or I could take 2 project cards. So 2 of anything that you see here. And of course I could do that action twice if I wanted to. There is no hand limit for a player, so they can have as many cards and project cards as they want. Now, after that, another action you could do is renew. You could pay for one of these face-down buildings here. Now, when you do that, you can only build or restore buildings that are orthogonally next to a completed building. So for instance, I can only build on the outlying areas, not diagonally, but orthogonally. So that's a completed building, so I could build that one if I wanted to. And if you look at it, each building will tell you how many helmet icons you need to complete that and score the victory points. They may also have these little icons on it that lets you know that once you complete it, you will also get to pull a card from the deck. So let's say I look at my hand here and oh, look at that, I do have 1 red helmet. So I would pay this 1 red helmet, and then I'd flip over this card, and now I've completed that hospital. So I move up in the victory track there to the amount of points given me. I do get an extra card to put in my hand for later. And then if it has coins, if it just has helmets on it, some of these have nothing but just helmets on it. If it has helmets on it, by the way, you don't get change. So if I played my other one with 2, can I say, okay, I need to use that helmet later? No, you use them both. But if it does have coins on it, which mine did, I can place it in front of me and use this at another time or later time for another action. What type of action is that? Oh, I should also mention that once I built a red, then this red building marker moves up to 2. Now, anytime you move, you build the second, third, or fourth type of building, except for blue, you do get, and the little icons here to tell you, another project card. So I'd actually just scored 2 project cards there. Pretty sweet. Now, like I said again, I could build back-to-back cards as well. So if there was a hospital that required 4 helmets, I could put them together, and I could keep the coin and place it right in front of me again. So what is coin used for? Well, coin is used to hire a specialist. Of course, you can hire any of these specialists. Right now, they all start off with a value of 1. But let's say I was to pay for that red specialist. So I have 2 coins. They're worth 1. Do I get change on coins? No. Once I use it, this goes to the discard pile. And then I would grab this red specialist. Now, what it does is at the end of my turn, every round, I will get as many points as there are red buildings in the game. So for instance, right now, oh, and I bought the specialist, so the specialist is going to go up. Next time someone wants to buy it, it costs 2. That's right, people can buy this from me. Now, every round, though, I'm going to get 2 victory points. Woohoo! So I'm just moving up the track. And you can buy more than 1 specialist. So you can own a few specialists. I know one guy in a game who had 4 specialists was getting 12 points at the end of every round by doing nothing, literally just hiring the specialist. Now, like I said, if someone wanted to buy it from me, it would cost 2. Once they bought it, it would move up to 3. Now, even though you're moving up the specialist marker, you will not get the bonus card action as listed here. Only when you build new buildings will you get the specialist card marker. All right, so you'll get this special bonus card here, not when you buy the specialist. Anyway, so that's another action. So we have pick cards, we have build a building, we have hire a specialist, and the last one is submit a project. Now you already have to have some of these project cards in your hand, but when you submit it, you'll place it face down. Now these are game-winning, in-game bonus points, and this is actually the absolute coolest thing about this game. You can pick these cards, play them at any time, but you can only play 3. Once you have placed 3, you cannot replace them with anything. You are locked in with whatever those 3 are. Now, these bonus points can be things like this. Hey, for every corner piece that's been built at the end of the game, you're getting 12 points. Dude, if they build all 4 corner pieces, which is hard, but if they did, that's 48 points at the end of the game. You could have things like this. Hey, this specialist, who's the green guy here, however much his value is at the end of the game, multiply that times 5. Let's say that this specialist is a 6 right now, because so many people have bought him, maybe because there's a lot of parks that have been created. Well, at the end of the game, 5 times 6, he could be worth 30 or even more if people are going back and forth paying for him. You're going to have this one. Hey, any of these type of buildings that are built, you'll multiply that number times 6. And so maybe if 5 of these buildings are built, that's worth 30. As you can see, these are huge points at the end of the game. But here's the coolest thing. When you draw them, you can, of course, collect them in your draw action. But when you choose to submit them, depending on how many points you have, this is going to cost you 1/10 of your points. So for instance, if I played it early, maybe right now, it would cost me free. It's nothing. Later on in the game, if I had 30 points or 31 points and I played this, it's going to cost me 3 points. Of course, way later on in the game, maybe you already have 50, maybe 100 points. It's going to cost you 10 points to put this down. So the profit margin is eliminating. Now, why is that? Well, obviously, at the end of the game, you can basically know where some of the big moves are, so it's going to cost you a lot. Now, if you do it early, there's a risk. What if this part guy doesn't go up in value? Well, if I play it early, though, I don't have to use that many of my victory points to play it. This is ingenious. I love that aspect of that mechanic in the game. So anyway, what you're going to be doing is you're going to keep playing and playing around and around, doing any one of these 4 actions, sometimes twice if you want to. The game ends when one of these 4, you have to do it like this, one of these 4 quadrants have 1, 2 or less buildings in it, or if 3 or more specialists have crossed into the 5 or plus category. Then that's going to mark the end of the game. You'll finish that round, do 1 more round, and then count up all of your final points. And that includes all your projects. You'll reveal them and then add those projects in there. And that's going to just really go wild if you have the right projects in. There's going to be super big scoring here. And then, of course, whoever has the most points wins. Final thoughts. What do I think about the game? Well, you know what? Mayfair Games does it again. Folks, I'm finding there's a lot of Mayfair games, these hidden Mayfair games I'm really enjoying. I think the last one was Toledo. Ooh, I really enjoyed Toledo. I think I love this one even more. Oh my goodness. Folks, if you were thinking, Matt, this sounds a lot like Ticket to Ride, you're right. In fact, my entire gaming group thought that as well. They said, oh, this is like Ticket to Ride. Yeah, but you're revitalizing a neighborhood. The theme is there. Let me just tell you, the theme's there. Now, one bad thing about the game, you saw it in the review, that board, it's hard to tell what is what's unfinished, what buildings, if you're looking for a particular building, and it's hard to match up the colors with the bricks. A lot of times you have to look at the emblem and then look at the specialist and realize, oh, that's a yellow. It's so hard. Now, after playing it a few times, we basically knew which color each building was, even though it wasn't that clearly defined on some of the tiles. Basically, brown and yellow were the ones we had a problem with. So if they'd have done something a little bit different there, I think I would have liked it better. But anyway, regardless of that, this game is awesome. I don't really like Ticket to Ride. I love this game. I've never heard of this game before. I found the game by accident. I was looking for something else and this popped up. I was like, what is this? And it didn't look that interesting, but I tried it out anyway. I was like, oh my goodness, this looks incredible. And it's cheap. It's cheap. This is out of print. It's cheap. This is a hidden gem. It's a hidden gem. Definitely for beginners. It's basically a gateway game. Nothing too, advanced about it. But man, again, those project cards, it's brilliant. Play it early. You don't lose that many points, but you take a risk of not getting many points at the end. Play it late, and it's going to take away half to a third of your points. But at least I'll get those back in kind. I love that. I love that about this game. So many strategies. You want to do extra actions, but you can't. You only got 2. You want to buy an extra specialist. You want to buy, extra buildings. You got to get more cards. Sometimes you do the same double action. Like, oh man, I didn't get to do anything. Yeah, that makes this a great game. Great game, fantastic game, and super cheap, so super worth it. All right, folks, that's all the time I have for now. Until next time, game on.